Reggie, Nancy Green with Film Critique.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi. So I was really interested in this episode's approach to the 13th Amendment and just kind of showing that with the kids, the similarities there and how this sort of system affects their future. At the beginning, you have that they've been accepted into these different schools, or this is where they're supposed to go to, and then you show how they can be derailed. So I wanted to know if you can talk a bit more about that and how the system might be, I would say maybe a little bit unfair in how it treats Black youth when it comes to the mistakes that they make.
Well, I'm going to just think again, because we lean so much into community, and that's really like a big thing that we're promoting with this show is the urgency of community. So first thing is just like awareness, like just raising awareness, just raising the awareness that the number one provider for people with mental health are prisons and jails. Like, we need to know that. Are you fine with it? If you're fine with it, okay, fine. Are you not fine with it? Like, what do we do about it? So like the number one thing we really want to do is raise awareness to that. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I mean, certainly, definitely, not that we lean into it a lot, but certainly I share the opinion that the justice system has not been kind to us, been kind to our kids. And the hard part about that, the hard part about the show, the hard part about being a parent of two young Black men, our oldest now is 22 and our youngest is 19, is how do you raise children, your own children, how do we raise our community to understand that things are not going to be fair, are not always fair, but that you also don't want to raise them to be victims. You don't want to raise them to be victims. In a society that will often victimize us, it's like such a hard thing to wrestle with as a writer, you know, as a father. And all of you on this call as Black men, as Black women, some as parents, aunts, whatever, like you all have experienced that. And so I am drawing a very specific parallel to Juneteenth in this, because we're saying that Juneteenth is a day that we're free, because all of a sudden now slavery is over. We're no longer enslaved on Juneteenth. So now that's our true point of liberation. Great, you know, but then how do we wrestle with the fact that so many of our youth are incarcerated right now? How do we wrestle with that? We're free. How do we celebrate Juneteenth now with the understanding that there are more people incarcerated than they were enslaved back before Juneteenth? So, you know, I'm an artist, I'm a father, I'm an exec producer, Swagger. Sometimes I have answers, but when I don't, I do have a lot of questions that I really, you know, want to bring forward to all of us.
So I think I have a two-part question. Mm-hmm. So I was really fascinated by the scene with Jace's mother, Jenna, and the parents and everything, like how they treated her. I actually auditioned for the show and I auditioned for that. So I was really fascinated by how it would turn out. And it was fabulous. And so I wanted to know if you could talk a bit more, aside from the writing, which you just talked about, the bringing together of that whole scene, and also the juxtaposition with how Jace is able to bring together all of his teammates and the other team and kind of, you know, bring everybody's anger down, whereas his mother kind of has the opposite experience there. Can you talk about that as well?
Okay, now I want to like see if I ever saw you audition. I'm just so curious. So that seems actually interesting for a couple of reasons. Number one, um, it was written as this backyard patio scene. And we had been shooting in that location and we were scrambling and ran out of time. And it was almost like, I don't know, like almost had about 2 hours to do this scene. And for me, like, there were, people close to me know this. Like the scenes that scare me the most are not the scenes with hundreds of people. I love those scenes. The basketball scenes, I love it. You give me a scene where there's a bunch of people sitting around the table, I'm like, oh God, like it's just like the hardest thing in the world to me,
Mhm.
you know? And so from a cinematic standpoint, now I really became heightened because instead of them being all laid out and the patio, which would have probably been like a whole bunch of angles, but I felt very comfortable with that. I had to put everybody around this table and keep it confined. And it sort of became, realized later, like a really good thing because again, it being confined and not having a lot of freedom, even in their space, actually made more sense for the
Mhm.
narrative. Um, so that was a good thing. And but also just really wanting somebody to just tell those people about themselves. Those people who were, from their point of view, not villains, and I really like to write and direct in that way. So so that's a little bit about how that came together. I'm forgetting the other part of your question.
How Jace's mother was like,
Oh,
she's, yeah, and
right. And so and like how Jace was able to like pull his team together. I mean, I feel like Jenna just has no patience for them. Maybe I don't have a lot of patience for folks like that, and there's opportunity to throw them a little something, you know. And so every now and then I love to use my characters in that way. Um, but so much of it also is about helping Jace understand what it means to be a champion. There's a lot of winners out there. We're raising him up on this show, raising him up on Swagger. Like, how do we take this, you know, person who was like a kid in season 1 who just wanted to make a name for himself? Like, how do we raise him up right now to be a champion? And so I think that we're just seeing him take steps in that direction. And that's, really where I was looking to push him in this narrative.
nice, nice. Thank you. I can see that. And it was a great episode. It was really enjoyable to watch. And I definitely love the basketball outside with, yeah, the fencing. That was great.
Yeah. Thank you.